just I just see the whole time the the previous live stream. Oh man. Ah, okay. That seems good. Hi. It's coming on. Yeah, it's on. Hi and welcome. My name is Andreas Kretz. I'm guest hosting for Kate. Actually, we wanted to have a talk, but LinkedIn or the Switcher app that we're using doesn't work. So it works. Uh, you know the difference between a madman and the YouTuber? YouTuber presses record. So that's basically the difference here. And now I know it works. Yeah. Hmm, I really thought, yeah, I'm not going to sing Flintstones again. Okay, no more Flintstones and Ring of Fire. I've been in the past 5 or 10 minutes. I refreshed the stream, or I refreshed Kate's profile, and I was watching this the whole time. It's so funny. Yeah. Now it's getting so actually, as I said, I want to talk to Kate, but yeah, I'm a data engineer. Let's get down to business. I'm a data engineer, and I want to do a Q&A about data engineering and where's the difference between data science. I don't know if everybody of you knows the difference and why I love it, and so on and so on. Shoot your questions in the chat anytime. Kate is here in the chat because unfortunately it doesn't work. And yeah, okay. So first of all, again, my name is Andreas Kretz. I am also here on LinkedIn. I have a podcast on YouTube on my Plumbers of Data Science channel. And yeah, I'm talking a lot about data engineering, which is basically focused around data science platform building and the tools you need to build these platforms, NoSQL databases, processing frameworks like Spark, Flink, and so on and so on. And it's more like I always say it's the plumbing of data science. It's the dirty work. You don't see it, but it's there. It's needed, and it's a big mess when you do it wrong. So yeah, hi everybody. I don't know if it would be interesting for you, for me to learn. Are you data scientists? Are you also interested in data engineering? Yeah, how did you get into this? As Kate is posting, it's very interesting. Any questions? Shoot questions. How to basically get into this? So for me, I started in the. I am more or less. I was a engineer all my life. I have been working in computer science for a long time, and then I learned, or I started a project with a data scientist, and it was a data science project. Then I started to go into the data scientist direction, but I actually found out that this is not for me, and it's not the route I'm going, or I want to go. I want to go more the data engineer route. So where's the difference between a data engineer or a data scientist? You can see it like this: the data engineer is the one who is building the platform, who is making sure, or who is getting the data into the system, who is storing the data and making accessible for the data scientist. And then the data scientist takes the data and does his analytics. Doesn't matter if he's working with deep learning or some other things. Just he's analyzing the data. He's working with the data, and then he gets the results back onto the platform and, for instance, show them um, on a user interface or an app or whatever. And so this is the thing. My background is a computer science background. um, I started with Java coding, and I also worked with SAP sometime. And yeah, now I'm working with NoSQL databases and Spark and message queues like Kafka and so on. And yeah, so I'm not that. There's a question: NumPy, Pandas, or SQL. Antonio, that for me that doesn't really does that make sense for me. NumPy, Pandas, I think they're more like libraries for data processing. SQL is a storage engine, so of course SQL is also a query language, but I don't think you can compare those things. Um, what exactly is the difference between AWS Glue and a traditional Hadoop, Spark, and Hive approach? Whew, now we're getting right into business. Um, AWS Glue. Let me just check. What's AWS Glue again? AWS Glue. Glue. Uh, wow. I can't give you an answer to this right now. Discovers your data, stores. Oof. I don't know. I don't know. Can't give you an answer to this. Um, I'm not the most AWS expert. The thing is, I'm working a lot on on a uh, yeah, on premise clouds. So I'm a lot working a lot with Hadoop, with for instance Cloudera distributions of Hadoop, and so I'm not the guy for the AWS. Mostly, if you know one, all. Would need to look into Glue. Um, I don't know, Raul, if you have any experience with this. What do you think about this? Um, yeah, data engineer. So it always depends. Do you need to learn cloud technology? Yes. The thing is, you cannot learn everything. I mean, um, there's Google Cloud, there's Azure, there's AWS. It doesn't make sense. And then you have the other systems like distributions like from Cloudera with Hadoop and so on. And it doesn't really make sense to learn everything. Um, I would say pick one, become good at this, and then find a job where you can apply this. So um yeah, this is the way to go. Don't get crazy on learning everything, because you cannot learn everything. You cannot learn every platform. Once you know which service, mostly it's all the same. So yeah, doesn't really make a difference. Once you know one, you can go to another and get to learn it. But the goal is for a beginner, uh, go into a niche and learn it, and then um, apply to find a job in that niche, someone who needs someone on the Google Cloud platform, and then you're in, and then you can grow, you know. What industry? um so this is no, this was a company for that is building like linear motion um devices. Was that for hmm, I don't know how to say this. It was part of Bosch. So yeah, hi Kristen. Yeah, no singing here right now. Thanks for joining again. Yeah, Kristen, any thoughts? Any questions? Uh, what are your thoughts on cloud tech and the need of data integrity and protection, and when dealing with sensitive data? So, this is those questions are getting it. Um, let's say it this way. Data protection is one thing. Okay, of course, the cloud is you don't own the servers, you don't know where the servers are, and it's not really in your hand, really. So if you go in the layers down to the hardware and the network, but once you think about um, how does uh, on-premise solution. When you have an on-premise solution, you need to take care of everything. You need to take care of the firewalls. You need to take care of the server updates. You need to supply the whole security in one big thing. And it's very easy to not have this set up correctly, or not enough people to actually update this. So the other thing, then when you look at the cloud, of course, security, um, it's their business. I mean, for everybody that is doing processing on premise, um, security is a necessary evil. For cloud platforms, it's their business. They need to make sure the data is stored and it's safe, and it's in your hands that you don't configure stuff wrong so that people can have access to your servers in the cloud. Um, the data protection or data security part, I think the cloud is a better way to, or is a more secure way, because it's the have a lot of people behind it and it's their business. And I don't think they are stealing your data or so, because once let's say AWS steals your data and this gets leaked somewhere, they're done, because everybody's moving away. So yeah, data integrity, of course, data integrity is also important, so that it doesn't change right away or in the midst. But it's more, the systems are more, it depends more on the systems and not cloud versus on premise, I think. um Sensitive data, yeah, sensitive data is always a bit of a problem. I mean, there are ways to secure data or encrypt data. So how you can be on premise and in the cloud. um the thing is, it's, I mean, on premise is more or less is where the servers are. So do you have a data center that is your data center, and or is the data center somewhere you don't know of in Ireland or Sweden or whatever, and or Idaho. And the thing is, you can have an on-premise cloud. I mean, if you have channels to the internet, um, via REST APIs or whatever, it's, you're acting more or less like a cloud, but it's in your own data center. And this is more or less, for me, it's the difference. Of course, it's you don't have the integrated services like with AWS and so on, but yeah, it's people always think if you build servers in your basement, of course you're not, as a company, you're not building them in your basement, but if you're building them on your site, it can also be a cloud. So, um, so what I'm what's the Joseph asks, what function within companies you've worked for they're best at leveraging data scientists? Um, I have experience, or the most experience I have is with um, basically gathering machine data and making new business out of machine data, for instance, predictive maintenance or other things I cannot go into. There is a good way of leveraging data scientists to actually take the data and find out patterns, and find out how good the machine still is, for instance. Or what I have seen is in is in accounting and finance. There's a lot of data in companies. There's a lot of or quality management is also very interesting. and they have a lot of production data and so on, and you can make a lot of that. But also the whole, if you have a SAP data warehouse and you're tracking every cell, every product that is shipped, and so on. There's a lot of potential, and a lot of people are actually leveraging this. And this is a good way for a data scientist, and people need data scientists for that. So that makes sense. Um, Ashish says, I got started using DataQuest.io, but I don't know DataQuest.io, by the way. But there are also a lot of online courses like on Udemy. Yeah, there are a lot of online courses, and you can do a lot of courses. The thing is always how much value bring you the courses. I just looked at the Udemy course. The Udemy course is like $1,500. So this is a big thing and super expensive. I don't know if you really can, if it brings the value for $1,500, or I don't know. But yeah, I'm right now I'm working on a course or a few courses on Udemy. No, on Udemy. Udacity, I meant, was the €1,500 course, dollar course. On Udemy, I'm working right now on a few starter courses who are going to be free, and then in the later stages, I think some $10 or something. But there are a lot of good things. The only thing is, you can do courses, and but you need to know that once you have a course and a certificate, that doesn't mean that you know the stuff, that you can work with it. You need to apply yourself and test something out, make some projects, or yourself, and document them, and then add them to your CV, for instance. And so people know on YouTube, like I do, and so once you apply somewhere, people know that you have the knowledge, that you are. Oh, my glasses are crooked again. That, yeah, that you don't only have the certificate because you don't know the certificate, you want to learn for life. I know it's cliche, and but that's true. During my studies, during my time at university, I have learned for tests, just for the test. It's completely stupid. Um, what do we have else? What do you recommend? Says Gary. Says, what do you recommend for a non-tech business leader who's interested in connecting and learning data science and data engineering? So the thing is, I don't know, Gary, what's your specialty? The thing is, you need to have a vision. That's the first thing. You don't need to go into data science, and you don't need to go into data engineering. The first thing, and this is the biggest problem that people are having, and are making, is they don't have a vision. They think, okay, I'm getting a data scientist, or I'm getting a data scientist and a data engineer. Most people don't even think about data engineers. They think, I'm getting 2 or 3 data scientists, and that's it. That makes sense. That's all. That's absolutely enough, and then they are going to make me money. But the thing is, for non-tech business leader, think about what type of data do you have, and what do you think you could do with this data, and then make some thesis, 3, 4, or 5, and then get a data scientist, get him to gather the data and do some analytics, and then let him find out which of these uh, projects are worth chasing or worth doing. And this is more or less the tip I would go. I would not go into, I mean, a business leader. Uh, does that make sense for you to go into data science and learn about algorithms and so on? I don't know. I know that Andrew Ng and so on, they are doing courses, and they're doing a lot of stuff about for business leader. But yeah, I don't know. That's the biggest thing. Some more questions. Yeah, one thing I for instance, while the questions are coming in, one thing I was, and it drove me crazy. Um, a lot of people ask me, how do I get into data engineering? What is data engineering? How do I learn, or how do I know the stuff that I need to learn to become a data engineer? What type of databases are there? What should you do? What makes sense? And I that's why I started a cookbook. I started a free cookbook on GitHub. Maybe I can post it here in the comments or something. Yeah, I cannot post it because it's on my phone. Basically, I have my phone set up here right now, and I'm reading the comments from here, and so I cannot comment. So I started this cookbook. Just I thought, let's collect everything that I think or I have learned from the time that where I was learning all this stuff, computer science and so on. And so there are some basic computer science things about servers, about networking, coding, and agile programming, agile development, and so on. It's the basics, and they are I put them in, and then I have some other things. Um, Can I pull this up? Let me just try something. Let me just try something. Can I pull up the cookbook here? So you can see it directly. Let's try this. Let's see how good Switcher is. Screen 2, share. Okay. Ooh. Okay. This might work. This might work. So I started this cookbook. It's free on GitHub. Check it out. And basically, I set up the first section is basic skills. Learn how to code. Get familiar with GitHub with Git because it's super important. Then about agile development, how computers are working, networking, security and privacy, and the cloud. This is not that filled right now. Not everything is filled. So let me just check if it still works. Yes. So, and then you can talk about security zones, or I have something about security zones. Big data, basically, what is big data? I know big data is not that hip anymore. Why big data? A blueprint that I'm currently. Can I show my? Oh no, I cannot show my face here. A blueprint that I'm currently working on. That looks like right now. It looks like this for a data science or for a data platform. I'm currently, whoops, no, 100. I'm currently working on a new version of this, and so I'm trying to put everything here about Hadoop, Docker, REST APIs, databases, what's basically the different databases, and programming frameworks and so on. And then I'm doing I'm doing a online course building a data platform. This is on my YouTube. I'm doing videos about this, how to basically set up um, a system that is using Twitter API data and taking the data, putting it into to NiFi, or reading it with NiFi, loading it into Kafka. Then I'm working with Zeppelin, which is basically Spark with that. And then I have a lot of case studies how people are using data science to actually actually make a business out of it. And I have another section that where I'm collecting more or less 1,001 data engineering interview questions. Right now there are about 100. So there's a lot of stuff I'm doing in the cookbook, and I'm trying to help beginners get into data engineering and what they learn. Of course, you don't need to learn everything that is in the cookbook. That doesn't make sense. Um, the idea is collect stuff in the cookbook and use the data science platform blueprint to select tools, and then build and select tools, and then learn those tools and get familiar, and then apply for a job that uses those tools, which for me makes the most sense, because once you have once you have some knowledge and people need it, you're off to a good start. Any documentary? No. Nirav, I cannot suggest any data science predictions by number by Nova. Never heard of this. Documentary. I have no idea. I'm not, as I said, I'm not a data scientist, so maybe Kate has some or Kristen has some really good links for that. Kate can see it. Jeffrey asks, in your opinion, what percentage of Fortune 500 companies are struggling with transition from on-premise to the cloud? Is it similar to mainframe to client server saga of the 1990s? That's a good question. Let me think about this. There are. I cannot say for Fortune 500 companies. I haven't looked that high into this. What I can tell you is that larger companies, which more or less are Fortune 500 companies, but not the IT guys, the traditional companies like GE and so on. These guys are still struggling. Because they have their own premises, servers and everything, and they don't want to let go of it, and they have everything set up, and they have their processes and so on. So this is one of the problems that they have. Some of them don't want to go to the cloud, or only move parts to the cloud because of some rules. But I don't think this is the main problem right now, Jeffrey. The main problem right now is data science itself. So a lot of companies, Fortune 500 or smaller, a lot of them think now data science, it's a hype, and they are going to get data scientists, and they're making a lot of money. And this is a bit of a problem, because of this hype right now, people are going to get depressed. So when you I don't know if you have seen, let me show this way. If you have seen the hype cycle from Gartner is you're starting somewhere, and then it goes up, and it's going up the hype, and then on top it's really everybody's talking about it, and then people are getting depressed, and the whole thing is falling basically down into a hole, and either it dies there, or it goes up to a plateau of productivity where people are using it. And so what really a lot of people are going to figure out, especially in the bigger companies, is they are they are setting up a lot of teams. They're doing a lot of data science. They are doing a lot of project with image recognition and whatever you can think of. But the problem is, at the end, they're going to figure out, so how do we make money with this again? And this is always the problem. It's like the toothbrush that is connected via Bluetooth to your mobile phone, and you can have statistics on that. Who uses that? Um, so I think you get the idea. It's a hype right now, and yeah, this is going to be interesting. Gary says the reason for my question, the question with the business leaders. Now, business science is becoming a thing. Have you heard this term? Can you enlighten us? How much do you need to know about business science? Business science. Let me. I'm here on the computer. Let me quickly check. I have a feeling that it's basically science that is telling you how to drive or how to steer your business. Business science. Business science. Business science. What is business science? Business science. Oh. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So business. It sounds like a bit of a mumbo jumbo thing here. We invent something new. As a data scientist, Trenton asks, as a data scientist developing adjacent skills, can you recommend a couple of data engineering skills that would be most useful? The thing that I think that absolutely makes sense is figure out about message queues, something like Kafka, which is super important. And I'm seeing that stream processing is getting absolutely crazy, and a lot of people are doing stream processing. So basically, with batch processing, you take the data and you store it, and then you do the processing, and the processing takes a chunk of data from the storage, processes it, and then gets it and stores it back into the storage. With stream processing, data is coming in. Wrong side. Data is. Let me just. Data is coming in, it's getting processed, and then it gets stored. And so you're basically all the time live, doing live analytics. And so stream processing, basically with something like Spark streaming, Kafka, these or NoSQL databases, like key value stores or MongoDB. These things are important for you as a data scientist because, to learn Kafka and Spark, especially for the processing. And I think the thing is, you need to, at some point, you need to get the data somewhere. To do analytics, you need to extract the data from somewhere. And this, when it's a NoSQL database, you need to get a feeling of what is a NoSQL database, and and how to use it, and what are different types, document stores and key value stores, and so on. That absolutely makes sense for a data scientist to understand. Of course, something like scheduling with Airflow and so on. That also makes sense. But yeah, don't go too crazy. Don't go absolutely too crazy, because you need to. The important thing is, you're a data scientist and you're not a data engineer. You don't want to become a data engineer. A data engineer is not only doing the engineering, he's also doing the side and making sure everything works and it's scalable and reliable. And as a data scientist, what's your job? Your job is to, and what you want to do is analyze data. gather or create new knowledge from data. And so focus on this, and don't focus on the engineering, because there are people who are doing the engineering and they're great at engineering, and focus on what's best. It's the same thing for the data engineer. Data engineer, he can be interested in some analytics. Maybe somehow he needs something, but he's not going to be a data scientist. No, 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 no. This is it's a bad choice, because these fields are so big, so huge. Data engineer, data scientist. It's very hard to be good at both. Almost impossible. I don't know. So find a niche and understand for yourself what you want to do. For myself, I have seen from or I have learned from my history. I like to solve problems. I like to figure out complex systems. I like to build stuff, and I like to automate stuff and help bring projects further forward. And I'm not interested in analytics, and that's good to know for me. And a lot of engineers are they don't want to look at this stuff. And so figure out your niche. And if you're interested in how these tools work and how to set them up and how to build platforms out of these tools, then you might be better off as a data engineer. Sorry, I got sick again. The kids are dragging the stuff home from kindergarten. So you're basically always sick. Um, Jeffrey says, thanks. I happen to be a functional engineer for services at GE. I think, Jeffrey, then you know what then you know what I'm talking about. How's the Predix platform going? I have I 2 years back, I was very, very excited for Predix. I don't know if Predix is still a thing. I don't know. Maybe Jeffrey, you know more about this. Mariam asks, any suggestions on how to scope the data science projects? Can you define what you mean by scope data science? Scoping? Can you define this a bit better? Just 1 second. All right. Gary says, agree with you. This term biz science is a term that will fade in the near future. I've never heard of such context. I don't know. It's everything needs to be science nowadays. I mean, as a good business leader, he has a vision where to go with the company, or where to go, what type of strategic projects would make sense, and then you figure it out. I mean, Jonathan, I'm sorry, I just had to laugh because of blockchain. Blockchain and the next area of any thoughts. Facebook becoming bank, 2.4 billion users. I'm not that big of a fan of blockchain, I have to say. Blockchain blockchain itself is absolutely useful. Blockchain is There are many situations where it makes sense to have a single, let's say, a single trusted system or trusted service where you can put stuff in and everybody is agreeing on it. And once it's in, every party that is reading the blockchain or has access to the blockchain can access the data, and he is sure that the business partner who put it in is not lying, or who put it in put that in, and it didn't get changed. So blockchain absolutely makes sense, but I personally haven't seen any good solutions for blockchain. Have you? Have you, Jonathan? I don't know. I haven't seen a good solution for blockchain that really uses it, that it's boom. Facebook becoming a bank. Yeah, it's Facebook. They are trying everything. Uh, yeah, I don't want to talk about Facebook. That's depressing. Yeah, all good, guys. When deciding MVP and a timeline, what questions should we ask to the customers? Should we? Let me get this straight. When deciding MVP and timeline, what questions should we ask the customer? So that I'm guessing this is for you as a consultant or consulting company or a engineering company. I'm not 100%. This is quite complicated. The thing is, um, let's say you're an engineering company and you have a customer and he wants to do some project. The first thing is that is interesting. What should be the features of this MVP? What who is he targeting? And what how do you automate the logging or the feedback of the MVP? You have an app. How do you uh, how do you automate what is the user, or you need to automate what the user is clicking and that you know what's going on. And so um, this is one thing you need to decide the MVP. What is it for? What does it have to solve? What is the minimum product then you can do? And then the other timeline. This, of course, the it's always hard to have a strict timeline. Like you're you're doing an MVP, and then it's coming. The next step is going to be the validation phase, where we are adding new functions and where we are bringing in new customers. And then once we're in the validation phase, then we move. In 1 year, we move to the scaling phase where we scale it over the globe, and in the validation, we just scale it to a single country or something. And because once you're in the MVP, and I have done this a few times, you're creating the MVP and you're figuring out that it's not working. Um, you need to, for instance, make a pivot. You thought you thought this your product would be this, and you solve problem A, but people don't need problem A solved. You need to solve problem B, and then you need to make a pivot and uh, and adjust your MVP to that, and then start again the MVP for this new thing. And then you can try to plan, but the whole planning is uh, could talk 3 hours about this. I mean, um, you need to have one thing a lot of people don't understand is once you go from MVP to a validation phase, you need to have people in place, because in the MVP phase you have only a few customers and they are happy. And if things don't work 100%, all good. Once you start scaling this, um, you need to have the operations part fixed. You need to have the operations part locked down. Everything works, and you need manpower and you need money for this. And this is where people struggle. They think, okay, I have built this small product, and then I'm just go to the next phase. That doesn't work like this. You need to have manpower. You need to have time, of course, but manpower and money is the most thing that people don't understand, and where then projects are struggling. You get from the MVP to a validation phase, and then what? Then maybe you entered the validation phase early, so system breaks down all the time. because you don't have enough enough engineers or enough operations people who are making sure the stuff running all the time, and then people are getting annoyed, people are sending in complaints, and people are leaving, and this is always a problem. And if you're if you're in the validation phase, the next step then to go to the scaling, worldwide scaling or big scaling, this is also another part that it's it's complicated, and having a strict timeline without knowing uh, what people can you get, what how much money is the customer willing to spend on this, then you cannot set up a time frame. And yeah, and also for consultants, it's always a consultant um, should always look if the customer has people who are who have knowledge. If you go to a company and you are going to consult about data science, and they don't have data science, or they don't have engineers or a data science department or whatever, I'm working in a so-called data lab. If they don't have a data lab, if they have nobody who has the competence to understand and execute what you're consulting, or what you're helping him with, then once the consultant leaves, the company is alone, and they are going to nothing is going to come out of it. So yeah. Um yeah, it's it's almost already after midnight. And yeah, it's usually it's not totally normal. Um how can we start off with data engineering? Like, I mean, can we participate with big giants such as Android, iOS, Google, Yahoo, etc., as a third party? Um, I'm Musa, I don't 100% know where you're coming from. Um, of course, you cannot compete with Android, with iOS, with Google. That doesn't make sense. You cannot compete with AWS as a provider. How is that? How should that be possible? The amount of money they are spending, um, you cannot compete with them. What you can do is use them. But I need to drink something first. Um, yeah, you can be a third party, and you can develop your solution on top of of these platforms, and it absolutely makes sense. I mean, if I if I, if I would do a startup right now, and I would bootstrap it, so I don't get a lot of venture capital, or I don't team up with a big player. I would start very simple with AWS. I'm a fan of AWS. I have done some stuff with AWS, and my website is running on AWS. So I'm a fan of AWS, and yeah, it makes sense to use the cloud, to use these platforms, because they have good scaling. You can start small, and once the business is taking off, it's very easy to scale. It's not cheap. Don't underestimate the cost of the data of the cloud. Stuff is it's expensive, and at some point, servers hardware is cheaper, but the flexibility and so on is way better. I have done streams um, on this. By the way, if you want to, let me just check something. I want to show you something. If you want to know more about data engineering, data science, everything that I have is, where is the site? Video chat. Boom, boom, boom. Let me just make a quick screen share. Huh? Ah, I've shared the wrong. Shared the wrong thing. This one. Whoops. My website. I have a website, andreaskretz.com. You can also go to plumbersofdatascience.com. I have everything there. You can go onto my mailing list, where I'm trying to send people mails every month, or every week. But right now I would need to pay, so I cannot send emails. I have over 2,000 mail addresses, so I cannot send mails. But you can go onto this list, or you can check out my podcast on YouTube from here. It absolutely makes sense. And check it out. Check out the YouTube. I have 7,000 subscribers, and there you also have the option to go to my cookbook. And it has 4,000 stars right now on GitHub. It's free. Go click download, and you're going to get to the cookbook. And it's a bit. Let's just see. It's a bit small on your screen. Website. Also, andreaskretz.com or plumbersofdatascience.com. And yeah, I have a blog, but right now I'm not updating it as much. And I also have the podcast with all the platforms and so on. So you can check this out and follow me also on LinkedIn here, or on YouTube. I'm trying. Oh man, where's the camera again? Stop sharing. Am I back? Yes, I'm back. I'm trying right now, or basically all the time, I'm trying to go online 3 times a week. Usually Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have tried Fridays, but Fridays is basically the internet is dead. Everybody's well, thank God it's Friday, and yeah. Check out if you're into data engineering. Check out these pages, and yeah, just stay in touch. Send me a mail, or send me something on LinkedIn, or I'm also on Twitter and so on. You are going to find everything on my website. And yeah, are there some more questions, or I think else I'm going to land the plane here? MVPs are iterative, based on the prior sprint development and user acceptance. What you thought at start of MVP 1 might be much different at the end of sprint 18 of development. I would disagree. I would absolutely disagree here. Jeffrey, you have the MVP, and the MVP with the MVP, you want to test a business idea. You want to test a business. I don't know how to say this in English. A business proposal, or a business idea. And this has a vision, what you want to achieve with your MVP. And so, while the development of the MVP, you should not change the whole thing that it is for, that you're using it for. That's not a good idea. You can do it, but no. I would not say this is a good idea. Once you have the MVP and you move forward and you learn that people want something different, then you change. But until that, concentrate on getting the MVP right, getting your first idea right, getting the product out, and then you're going to this is going to be something. With the sprints, yeah, maybe some features are a bit different, but the whole thing, oh man, you're setting yourself up for failure. I don't. Musa says, I don't want to compete with them. I just want to know, as a third party, can we participate with them, like Snapchat, Instagram, etc.? Of course. That's what they're for. Netflix, Spotify. Everybody's using these platforms. Of course, you can do too. Yeah, the vision or the MVP can change, and you can make a pivot at some time. But it what let's say it this way: the MVP is again the MVP is to test out your vision, is to test out your business, and once you've tested it out with the MVP, of course the MVP can change. You can make changes on this, but the first idea, the first product, the first time you are you're getting your app into the or some nah let's describe it differently. You have an idea, you start developing an MVP until that MVP, that app for instance, is in the app store. You should not make a pivot because it's if you have to do a pivot before you actually put out the MVP, then you're just looking at myself every time the glasses are crooked. Then you're getting into trouble. Um, you need to test stuff out. Of course, it should be able to change, but not while in development. Once you have released the first version, make changes to it. Of course, if it doesn't work, pivot somewhere where you see maybe parts of the MVP make sense, other parts don't, and focus on these other parts and build them out. And yeah, okay. I think that's it. Tomorrow I will do a stream. I'm usually live at 10:30 Germany time. This should be 4:30 p.m. EST. And tomorrow we are going to look into the Udacity course data engineering. That I said it's worth $1,500, and going to look into. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, on the topics that they're using or that you're working on. I'm not 100% sure if it's worth it right now. They have some really good things in the course, so yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about this tomorrow again. Okay. Thanks, Kate, for hosting, for letting me guest host this live stream. I would love to do I would love to do LinkedIn live streams on my channel, on my page. I mean, I have 36,000 followers, but and I'm one of, like Kate. I'm one of the top voices, data science and analytics, data something and analytics. Already forgot it, and yeah, and where was I? I don't know. Let's see you tomorrow. Kate, I'm going to talk to you not today, tomorrow. One thing, Jeffrey, I also find looking myself entertaining at the most inappropriate moments. Inopportune moments. Thanks for your time. Thank you, everybody. I'm always glad, happy to help. Let me know if you have questions, and I would say follow Kate, but you also already do. And if you're from LinkedIn and you're watching this, I need this feature tomorrow. Oh no, I started singing again. Okay, I'm going to leave. Top voice, data science, and analytics. Thanks, Kate. Okay, bye bye, everyone. Have a great day, great night, great morning, and so on. See you on my YouTube, maybe. Bye bye.